Okay, it's going to sketch another rational function. Again, we're going to look at the asymptotes. So if we look at our vertical asymptotes, we know the denominator equals 0. So 4x squared minus 1 is 0. 4x squared equals 1. X squared equals 1/4. And so x equals plus or minus 1 over root 4, or maybe root of that, which is then plus or minus 1/2. And so if I start to build my function, here's a graph. I know that I'm going to have an asymptote at minus 1/2, at minus 1/2, and plus 1/2. Those are my vertical asymptotes. X equals minus 1/2, x equals plus 1/2. Getting my vertical asymptote, let's extend this page. There's my vertical. Getting the horizontal asymptotes. My horizontal, I look at my powers, or the degree of the top, the degree of the bottom. The degree of the bottom is bigger than the degree of the top. So therefore, y equals 0 is my horizontal asymptote. And so I have this asymptote here. Now, the horizontal, it's allowed to, the function can cross the horizontal asymptote. Okay, so here is, for our horizontal asymptotes, we can cross horizontal asymptotes. That's not a problem. But we know as x gets big negatively or big positively, it starts to follow that line there. Okay. Next thing to consider are our asymptotes. Intercepts. So my x-intercepts, as always, we let y be 0. And so my fraction to be 0 means my top of the fraction. In order for this to be 0, that means x minus 3 must be 0. So I have x minus 3 is 0, and so x equals 3, and there's my x-intercept. For my y-intercept, I always let x be 0. And so my function g of x, g at 0, will be 0 minus 3 over 4 times 0 squared minus 1. I think that's correct. We'll just check. Yep. If we do computations here, I end up with 3. And so my point is 0, 3. So I can put on my sketch now my two. I know I have 3, 0. Here's one intercept. And the other one is 0, 3 up here. Okay, so doesn't seem to help us out very much in where to find the function. Okay. When I look at this, these asymptotes have broken my graph into 3 different regions. If I look at this region here first, it has to be either above or below. And so what I do is I'm going to make a sign chart for this scenario. And I'm going to take all my function, which is g of x, which is x minus 3, for x squared minus 1. I'm going to factor the bottom into 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. I do that so I can work easier with my pluses and minuses when I multiply. And so I'm going to look at each of these factors, and I'm going to make a sign chart to x minus 1 and then to x plus 1. And I'm going to look at to the left of negative 1/2. So a number to the left of negative 1/2 will be something like negative 10. So if x is a negative 10, I know this value here is negative. That value there is negative, and this value here is negative. And so overall, it is a negative. When I multiply 3 negatives, I get a negative. And so that tells me my graph is negative. It is below the axis, so it has to be down here. Okay? Now, in between here, well, this one, I know what's happening here. There are really three options. I could go, or four options. It could go like this, or similarly this way. So let me do blue one, that. Or it could go like the red one. Or it could go the pink one. Or the last one, it could do the green one here. Now, of all those four options, it can only be the pink one. And I know that because all the other options have x-intercepts between half and negative a half. So it has to be the pink one. So let me undo a bunch of those. And without doing the sign chart, I can tell that it's going to be that pink one. So here is, it has to be like this scenario here. Now I'm left with this part here. I don't know if the graph is doing this crazy thing or this crazy thing, or maybe it's going through the axis or through the axis here. So with that x-intercept, I have to consider what's going on to the left of -3 and to the right of -3, my x-intercept. And I'm going to use my sign chart to do it. So this is a half, this is 3. So a value between a half and 3 is, let's say, 2. I plug 2 in here, I get -1. I plug 2 in here and I get a positive. 2 in here, I get a positive, so I know it's negative overall. I'm going to go to the other side of 3, so let's pick 5. This will be positive, 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 and so it's positive. So I know for my sign chart that it's negative here, positive here. So that means the graph has to be negative through here, and then positive, and it's going to go along the asymptote. It'll pop up a little bit and then go along the asymptote. That's what the asymptotes are for. And that is how I can use a sign chart and fill in the pieces that I don't know.